Hey everybody from my garage. As you know, I followed very closely the Oakland Athletics' quest to build a baseball stadium in Oakland and at Howard Terminal most recently. I am really, as you know, not happy with the way city staff has handled the project, but that's another story. This push toward enhanced infrastructure financing districts is illogical because the city staff comes back and says, well, all right, we want to do these, but if we do them, we can't afford what the community wants in the plan that it spent over a year creating. Does that make sense to you? Of course not. Well, I have an answer. It's under AB 2280 from 2015. It's called the California Community Revitalization and Investment Authority Act. That's right. So it's okay, Zenny, what does it do? Well, I think the best question is, what does it do that makes it better than an enhanced infrastructure finance district or that act, right? And here's my answer. It basically allows us to create a redevelopment agency all over again. That's right. What it does is it says, okay, can you identify lands that, first of all, are 80% of the household median income for the state of California? Well, yeah, that's all over the Oakland flatlands, right? Can you identify areas that, census tracts that contain underdeveloped, dilapidated buildings in states of disrepair, or residences that qualify for the same designation? The Oakland flatlands are replete with such examples, as you know. Can you identify a military base or former military base? West Oakland, of course. The bottom line is that the Oakland City Council can form the Oakland Community Community Revitalization and Investment Authority. Again, the Oakland Community Revitalization and Investment Authority, by vote of the Oakland City Council. It would have the 3-member board. There'll be 2 Oakland City Council members and a third from the public, but there's no reason you can't modify that for Oakland purposes. We've done that before in the case of the Coliseum Joint Powers Authority. But the organization would have the power to acquire land by eminent domain if it needed to, use tax increment financing, and it has a designation of specifically being the organization that makes affordable housing happen. It has a 25% affordable housing set aside regarding funding use for tax increment financing. And get this, there's no limit on the areas that it can touch with the district. And even better, there's no restriction on how the tax increment money is spent compared to the enhanced infrastructure financing district example. So guess what, folks? The community can get its wish list of projects, and the Athletics can get assistance regarding infrastructure at Howard Terminal. And what the Oakland Community Revitalization and Investment Authority can do is pre-designate different areas, and then, because there's no prohibition against this, share that tax increment revenue from one district to the other. See? So you could have one in West Oakland, Howard Terminal, Jack London Square, Port of Oakland area, and then East Oakland. Or, for example, let's say that we say it will be Howard Terminal, and there may be another one in Chinatown. Again, there's no restriction on the spending. You can use it to help revitalize businesses. You can form grants to small businesses in the area. It's right there in the law. It is a very simply written law that's been on the books for some time, used in Riverside and LA County, but not in the Bay Area. Okay? I think it's about time we used it, because it's clear that the enhanced infrastructure financing district's approach isn't going to cut it. Oh, and then we're talking about the bond issue. Because it's the A's at Howard Terminal, right? We can use a private activity bond. A private activity bond is allowed when more than 10% of the proceeds from an anticipated bond issue would go to the assistance, essentially, of constructing a private edifice. In this case, the Howard Terminal Ballpark. So let's say the A's need $455 million, or I think more appropriately $612 million for their infrastructure needs. Okay, that's far more than 10. Well, actually, really the test is 5%, but that's far more than 5%, far more than 10% of the total any bond issue, the proceeds from any bond issue coming out of that revenue stream. I've already done the math. So there we have it. We have a true alternative to the enhanced infrastructure financing district proposal that city staff and consultants have pushed. One that the city staff says will not allow the community's wish list to be fulfilled. And that would include seaport planning and everything else. It's not a good scene. So let's do it. Let's establish the Oakland Community Revitalization and Investment Authority and have it focus on the matter of Howard Terminal via a much simpler approach, where you don't have to do these layers and everything else. And then with a private activity bond issue, again, why? Because a private activity bond issue is such that, because it's going to be used to build or help build the infrastructure for a private facility, in this case the A's Ballpark, and in the A's Ballpark, it meets the percentage because of the infrastructure cost relative to whatever bond issue would come out of it. Guess what? If the bond defaults, the A's have to pick up the tab, not the city of Oakland, even though it would be issued, or more importantly, not the authority, even though it would be issued by the authority. Isn't that cool? So we have all the advantages that staff presented to us regarding their concept, and more, because it's fiscally flexible by far more than what they wanted to do. I'll have more on this. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com.